All right, hello and welcome back. It's Phil the IT guy. You're at my channel once more. What we're going to be doing today is adding some more functionality to Home Assistant using HACS or Home Assistant Community Store. And this thing that we're about to run through, this lets you um, install applications or integrations that were built by the community, things that you can download from GitHub and just plug right in and begin extending functionality of the Home Assistant. And that's one of the reasons I chose Home Assistant, because things you can do, new customization that's just not possible out of the box. So we're going to go ahead and start using it. There's a large section of installation instructions here. I'll link these as well, but we're going to go ahead and get HACS installed. Very simple to do. What we want to do is add the correct repository. I've already done that. So let's go in here and go to the apps. You can see what repositories we have here. And I had the Home Assistant Community Store added. All you do is click add, fill in the GitHub URL to that repository, and then it becomes a place we can search to get those tools installed on the system. You'll notice another one here, Zigbee to MQTT. I have this in here because we are going to install this. I'm not going to use it. This is an enhanced, more customizable, more of what I would say your typical IT nerd like me would use to control Zigbee devices rather than the out-of-the-box Home Assistant. And the reason is it has a lot of customization. You can customize things in ways that you couldn't before. You can add devices that aren't 100% Zigbee supported that use MQTT instead. Um, but it is harder to configure, it's harder to maintain, and the ZHA integration out of the box works just fine. It supports a ton of devices natively that are Zigbee. So I'll install it and I'll remove it afterwards and go back to ZHA. I just want to show you how it's done. So if you choose to use it, you can do so in the future. But let's get started on HACS first. So let's go ahead and go back to settings. We added the repository. The next step now is to go through and add HACS itself. Of course, it says I don't have it, so I have to search for it. And this is how I get HACS. This particular device or application that I'm downloading, I don't need it after I'm done. In fact, I'm going to uninstall it once I have HACS, the HACS repository up and running. So let's go ahead and install this. It'll take a couple of minutes to download and configure, and in that time, what we're just going to do is pause that video. And it's done. We're now at the screen where we can start it. I want to start on boot, auto update, check and see if there's any configuration I need to do. I don't see anything in here that I need. There's an edit YAML, that's nice. And we're going to go ahead now and go back to the application where we were. And we're going to start it. Okay, now you'll see it's up and running. Now what we have to do is view the log, make sure that it came up and ran correctly. And we need to restart Home Assistant after this in order to move forward. So the HACS integration will show up in the system, and HACS will show up on the sidebar here. So let's go ahead and go back to our settings. Let's go back to System, and we're going to restart Home Assistant. Again, takes a little bit of time to do this. Home Assistant will spin itself back up, and we'll move forward from there. All right, Home Assistant has started. So we're going to go ahead and clear my browser cache, which is one of the instructions that told me I should do this. And we're going to go ahead and do that. Privacy and security, delete browsing data. That should be enough. All right, and now let's go to settings and devices. And let's look for, add integration. Duh. And then we type in HACS and we add the HACS integration. Now that we have an application, then we have to agree to all this. Hey, you can set up HACS. You need to acknowledge the following. I'm an expert in everything. I don't need any help. I know everything and never ask questions, and I don't need to read the documentation. So that's what we're going to hit. Then we're going to let this activate the device. We need to go here and enter that authorization key. So let's go ahead and do that. Continue with my account. Enter the key. Continue. Authorize HACS. All right, so that's done. It's all set. You can see it's added to the sidebar over here. We're going to give this a name. We're going to give it an area. I'm just going to call this laundry room as well. And we're going to do that. Just leave it as HACS. And that's it. HACS is installed. HACS is running, and we have the repository. We can use it. What I want to do now is go back to the applications and clean it up. I don't need this anymore. And that's HACS. That's all we had to do. Now we can download things from the community store. And to do that, I go to HACS. And then you can see we have a large list of things in here. This is the community store. We have dashboards, we have integrations, we have a Tesla integration, believe it or not. You can see it's opened up a lot of doors I previously didn't have and taken away my need to learn to code. I'll use AI for that if I need to in the future. If I could do it with PowerShell in here, sure, but don't think so. In any event, let's go ahead and look for that Zigbee automation. Okay, so we need to install the Zigbee MQTT or Zigbee to MQTT. That's not actually part of HACS. We did add our own repository for that under apps, and you'll notice again where I installed that. I'll link the installation instructions for this as well in here, as well as this little comparison between the two. You may want to start with this. If you're going to use it, I recommend you start with it to begin with. I'm not. I'm just going to stick with ZHA for standard Zigbee support out of the box, so I don't have to tinker. If I need to later, I'll pay the price and do that. But we added that custom repository, Home Assistant app, and that's right here. I'll again link that installation instructions. So let's go ahead and find the Zigbee to MQTT. There it is. We have this one. That's the one we want, not the Edge version. We want this one. But according to the instructions, there's something we need first, believe it or not, and that is called Mosquito. So we have to go search for Mosquito. This is the MQTT broker. This replaces, or helps replace the ZHA integration and allows you to use the MQTT broker with Zigbee devices instead. So we have to install Mosquito Broker. Now, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve here because the installation is not so straightforward and it's going to be a little different for almost everybody. So what we want to do here is go ahead and start by installing this. And once we get it installed, we're going to set up a couple of options in the configuration. We actually have to create a user for this. Now the user needs to have administrative access, at least from the beginning till we get this up and running. We'll take it away later. And we couldn't restrict it to local access either because it's using a different IP address to connect from that doesn't match my network. So I had to turn that off. We'll create that user in a moment. Now we have this up, we have it installed. We can see the configuration in here, and we have the information for this part. And let's go ahead and go start by making our user. So we're going to go down to people, manage people who can access your home. Add a person. This person is going to be called MQTT-user. Let's remember that, MQTT-user. We're going to allow it to log in. We're going to set a password. And we're going to give it access to the system. Create. Definitely use a very complicated password here, not what I just used, because you don't want people to get in with this account from outside. I'm not going to save that. And we're going to add. So here we have the user defined. Now we're going to go back and we're going to start, or we're going to install Zigbee. Settings, apps. Yes, we don't have it. We have to search Zigbee2. And let's get that installed. So we have the MQTT broker that's going to be used with this installed. Now, what we need to do is get the Zigbee conversion. This basically takes any Zigbee commands, converts them to MQTT, and uses that instead. So whatever, we'll take it. Now, we're going to start on boot, watchdog, auto update, show in the sidebar. I don't really want it to show in the sidebar. I'm going to take it off of there. But I could if I wanted to. All right, so let's go ahead and check the configuration here. We have SOCAT. Not going to go into this MQTT. This is the server. The server I got from the installation instructions. Certificate key cert, not using that. Here we have our user. That was MQTT-user. And I'll put in that password. And then we have our serial settings. And in this case, we need to grab the port. I'm going to grab this port right here, which is the port that the Sonos Zigbee is attached to. We're going to use ZStack for this. That's what I am told is supposed to be correct, and we'll let it set its baud rate automatically. All right, let's save that. And one more thing before we get started on all of these, we have to go through and we have to look at the devices and automations here. Now, let's refresh this, and we'll probably have to restart it to do that. Okay. Settings, maybe I have to start the app first. Let's start the Mosquito Broker. That started. We can look at the log for that. And it successfully sent discovery information to Home Assistant, successfully sent service information to the supervisor. So now we're going to go back to settings and devices. And here we have the actual MQTT integration. So we're going to add that, submit it, and it has created a configuration for the Mosquito Broker. So let's take a look at this. We're going to add configuration, nothing to do here. And now we want to go ahead and enter in what we want to need a device. Add a service. Okay, we have one service. Anything else we need to do? Yes, we need to add our username and password here. MQTT-user and password. If I type that correctly. Submit. Registration was successful. Perfect. And we're going to go to devices and services. Nope, we're going to go back to apps. Make sure our broker is running. We'll restart the broker. I'm going to go ahead and enable these two options with that. We'll check the log. All right, it's up. And let's go back to the Zigbee to MQTT. See if there's anything we need to add here. We have the username information in here. All right, I should just be able to start this. Check the log. And this is what we're looking for. Zigbee to MQTT started. Boom. Now we have it. It's running. It's good to go. Don't have to do anything else with it. Back to settings, devices. And don't have to do anything. We have MQTT. So we're good. I'm going to restart Home Assistant anyway. All right. After we do that, now we're going to go back and tear out the Zigbee. And then we're going to add the standard on this one. So let's take this one out. I'm going to just uninstall. Let's go to the other application, Mosquito Broker, uninstall. And let's go to devices and services. And we're going to take this up here and we're going to delete this device. Delete. Done. The service itself disappears once we've unregistered everything else. And check my apps are gone. There we go. So now what I want to do is add in CHA. And taking me just a minute to find the right thing. All right, in order to install that Zigbee, I did leave out a step, which I apologize for. I first had to disable or remove the out-of-the-box Zigbee home automation. So I'm going to stop ignoring it. And now if I go back to my devices and settings, we'll be able to re-add that one shortly. I'm going to take a restart of the Home Assistant again. And there we go. Home Assistant is now restarting. Fantastic. All right, Home Assistant has restarted. So let's see what we need to do to get that automation back in place. Here it is. Sonoff Zigbee 3.0 USB dongle plus, Zigbee home automation. We add that, boom, and in a few moments now we'll have that added to this list of integrations and devices that we can support out of the box. I don't have any Zigbee devices. I looked at this um, at the beginning when I began planning this, and I decided that I would go with both Z-Wave and Zigbee. Most smart lights out there, or a lot of smart lights and devices out there support the Zigbee protocol. A lot of them support Z-Wave. So if I can support both, then I think I'm going to be a lot better. I'm just going to go ahead and let this thing set up automatically. It's going to create a Zigbee network. When I bring new things in, they'll be discovered, they'll be added to the network, and then we don't have to. Basically, it just makes it very simple to add new devices. If I get something in the future, great. If not, I'm future proofed. I'm fairly confident I will wind up with one or two of those devices in place. And then there'll be one more that I need to add here, and that is the Wiz integration. I happen to have some of those cheap Walmart lights that support the Wiz protocol. A couple of those in this house at least, maybe one, I don't know. And we want to get those on here so I can control those too.
A few moments later.
That's finished now, and we have this. We can call it whatever we want, Zigbee controller, and add it to the laundry room. That's what I'm going to do. Just skip and finish. And now we have it. There's no devices in here. We're done. Let's add that Wiz integration. So let's see, is there an app or an integration? Let's do. Okay, so that's going to be just an integration itself under devices. And let's add it. Wiz. There we go. There's one for Ubi or Ubiquity Wiz, Home Wizard, Eastron. Just go with standard Wiz. And this will find devices. Okay, it did find one device. We're going to add that, and we're going to call this master bedroom light, master bedroom lamp. Add that to the master bedroom, not the master bath. Did I not add a master bedroom? I did not. See, small mistakes you make going along. And we give that an icon. Don't like any of those. Let me get another one. That's better. All right. Finish. And now we have it. Now we have this in place, and I can control that light. That light's actually behind me. You can see it over there if you look carefully. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Let's click on this, and now we can change all the stuff that we want to on this. So, okay. Let's just change it back to a white light and turn it back off. All right, pretty simple to get these things set up once you have the integrations in place. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again shortly.